Hey guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a summer book haul. And it's been about 2 months since I did my last book haul, and in these last 2 months I have been sent so many books and I have purchased so many books. It's a lot of books. Before we do jump into the books, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so that you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. Practice makes progress. Advancing towards a goal is achievable with short lessons and hands-on projects. I recently just started taking this class called TikTok for Everybody. Script, shoot, and upload your first TikTok, because I personally have not yet ventured into the world of creating TikToks. I mean, I watch a lot of TikTok, but I haven't really made too many of my own. It's just interesting watching this as someone who is a creator for YouTube and for other platforms. It's interesting to know more about TikTok and all the different efforts that goes into creating TikToks. And the guy that teaches this class has like millions of followers on TikTok, and so I feel like he has really solid advice on how to create successful TikToks. If this class doesn't interest you, they do offer many other classes in subjects like design, illustration, photography, marketing, directing. The list really does go on. And so the first 1,000 people to click the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare's premium membership. A whole freaking month. Like, that is so awesome. You can explore your creativity this summer and take some classes with Skillshare. I've been taking Skillshare classes for over a year now, and I find that I learned something really valuable from all of them. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get into the books. Alright, well, to start, I thought I would show you the book of the month selections from the past 2 months, May and June. The first one is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually did read this book. It was one of my most anticipated books of the year. I thought it was just okay, but it's still a really great story that takes place in Malibu, California in the 80s, and it follows the 4 Riva siblings. And then we have The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This one is a thriller. This was one of the May selections, and I did actually end up reading this in the month of June. And I thought it was pretty mediocre, to be honest. I wouldn't really call this a thriller. I would consider it more of a mystery. And then The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This was a June selection, and this is definitely one of my favorite thrillers of the year. I absolutely love. It all takes place on this college campus, and it deals with this Greek mythology professor getting accused of murdering one of his students. The next book is How Lucky. This is one that I would like to read that I have not yet gotten the chance to read. Book follows this guy who stays in his house. Like, I don't think he leaves his house, and then one day he witnesses this girl getting kidnapped, he thinks. And then we have Sky Falling. This is another one that I would really like to read soon. It follows this woman named Sky who donated a bunch of her eggs when she was like 26 years old, and now that she's approaching 40, this young girl shows up on her doorstep and is claiming to be her daughter. And then we have Half Sick of Shadows. This one, I don't know if I'm really interested in this because it's like a Greek mythology retelling kind of thing. So I'm probably going to be passing this one on to a friend. And then Instructions for Dancing by Nicole Yoon. I'm really excited to read this one. I actually have the audiobook for it on hold at my library. And then we have Imposter Syndrome. This one is about a girl that's like working her way through the tech scene. And then we also have Things We Lost to the Water, and this one is another one that I'd really like to read. It's like a literary fiction about this family. It's a debut novel that's about an immigrant Vietnamese family that settles in New Orleans, and it takes place in the 1970s. It just sounds like it's going to be really beautiful and really stunning. And then Atria Books ended up sending me a finished copy of The Other Black Girl, which is like so freaking cool and so nice and unexpected too, because I did receive an ARC copy of this book, and that's the one that I ended up reading for my book club last month. And then I wasn't expecting to get a finished copy, so that is really cool. I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping this copy or my ARC copy, but whichever one I decide to keep, I'll probably end up giving away the other one to like one of my friends. And then Penguin Teen ended up sending me Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. It's a young adult queer romance. It follows these 2 girls. One of them is an elite track athlete, and she's forced to transfer late in her senior year. And she has to transfer because being gay is against her private Catholic school's code of conduct. And then the other girl, Ruby, competes in beauty pageants. don't know, it just sounds like it's gonna be so cute. Also, my lovely friend Brittany sent me the book House of Hollow, which is so exciting because I've been hearing such different things about this book. Like, some people really love it and some people really don't, but I'm really curious about it and I'm curious to see where I land. And the reason why I think I would like this is because it's a story that follows like a bunch of sisters, and it's like this creepy, it kind of almost seems like it's like body horror in a way, because like things are happening to their bodies in this. It's just interesting because the sisters all disappeared and then they returned a month later with no memory of what had happened to them, but then strange things start happening to them after they return. I've been hearing so much hype about this book and I'm so excited to get to this, so thank you so much to Brittany for sending me this. And then Penguin Random House sent me a decent stack of books recently. One of them that they sent is When Breath Becomes Air, and this is one that I've been really excited about for a long time. My friend Elle was actually like really hyping this book up and saying it's so freaking beautiful, and this one is a nonfiction book. It's actually about this guy who is a neurosurgeon who was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer at the age of 36. It's about how one day he was a doctor treating the dying and the next he was a patient struggling to live. And I've just heard nothing but good things about this one. This book has actually been out for quite a while now, and I really would like to listen to the audiobook for this, so I'm glad that I have this copy to follow along with. I also sent this book, Lizzie and Dante. This one looks so summery. Like, look at this freaking cover and tell me this doesn't scream summer. And also look, it has a yellow spine. What if falling in love means breaking someone's heart? So it's about this girl who just had a difficult breakup, and her name is Lizzie, and she decides to take one last vacation on Elba. It sounds so cute. It's about how she meets this chef named Dante, and he has a daughter named Etta who's like 12 years old, who's desperate for a mother, and it's like, it just sounds like the cutest little summer romance book. And then I have The Disappearing Act by Catherine Steadman. This one is a thriller that just came out, and at first I was a little bit hesitant to want to read this one because I wasn't a huge fan of this author's first book, Something in the Water. I like couldn't even get into that book, and I never ended up picking up Mr. Nobody. But this one sounds interesting because it says a British actress discovers the dark side of Hollywood when she's the only witness to the sudden disappearance of a woman she meets at an audition. So that kind of sounds really fucking cool, and I also heard from some of my friends that they enjoyed this one. So like, I am intrigued. And then they sent Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which this was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and it's definitely one of my absolute top favorite books of the year so far. Like, it might be in my top 5. This was just everything. This is like a sci-fi, thriller, mystery, action, suspense. It's really heavy sci-fi, you know, because we're following this guy named Ryland who is in space. He's on this spaceship and he wakes up and he doesn't even remember his own name when he wakes up. Like, he has absolutely no memory. He doesn't know where he is, and all of his space crewmates are dead. He's the only one living now on this spaceship, and we just kind of get to follow his journey as he like figures out what the fuck is going on. And it was just so good, like so much better than I even thought it would be. I think I liked this even more than The Martian. This book just owns my whole heart, okay? And then they sent Goblin by Josh Malerman, which, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about. This one is a collection of 6 novellas, so it's like 6 short stories, but I think they all take place in a town called Goblin, so they're all like connected in some way, and I don't know, it just sounds so freaking cool. I would really love to do a video with this book of just like reading all the short stories in one video. I think it'd be like a really fun time. I'm so excited to read this. I think Josh Malerman really thrives in the short story format because House at the Bottom of a Lake is one of my favorite short stories, and that one's by him. So I'm really excited to check this out and see what these stories are about. Then the last one Penguin Random House sent me is an ARC copy of The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. This one goes on sale July 20th, so not too far out now. And this one, oh my god, this book was so freaking good. This book is kind of like a horror novel. It follows this couple named Nathan and Maddie, and they take their son Oliver and move into this old house where Nathan's dad, like, it's where he grew up, but it's where his dad was kind of like abusive towards him. And so he's kind of like hesitant, like now that his father just recently passed away, his father left him this house and he doesn't know how he feels about it. But then they're like, yeah, like, let's do it, let's move in. And then some spooky shit and creepy shit starts happening to their family in this small town. There's also this like serial killer that was in this small town from like decades ago, and there's like something happening with him in this storyline. It's just, Oh my gosh, the story is so complex. It'll go to places that you did not expect it to go, and it was just really good. Really enjoyed my time. Right, and then this last stack of books that I have is a mighty stack, and it is all the books I have purchased for myself. The first one is going to be The Elementals by Michael McDowell, and this one I specifically bought because I plan to read this one for Summerween because it got recommended to me so many times. And I don't really know much about this other than I think it came out in like the 80s or like the late 70s, and that it's supposed to be kind of like a classic horror novel. And then the next book that I bought is Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey. I just ended up picking this up when I went to Barnes & Noble one time because I've just been hearing really good things about this one, even though I'm nervous to read this because Tessa Bailey wrote Fix Her Up, which is like one of my least favorite romances of all time. But with this one, it sounded cute because it's like a hate to love romance, and it deals with them like flipping a house together. And I've heard a lot of praise for this book, especially from like some of my friends. Like Chandler really liked this book, and so I'm definitely curious to check it out. I don't know if it's gonna end up being my thing. I did start the first like 40 pages, and so far I'm not really enjoying it too much, so I don't know, but I'm still gonna keep an open mind, and I'll probably read this at some point soon. Just recently bought Parasite by Darcy Coates. This is a book that was highly recommended to me because I asked for recommendations for doing a space horror themed video at some point in the future, and this book was highly recommended, and this one was already one of the ones that was on my radar for that video, so I just went ahead and bought it for that video. But I don't think I'm going to be doing that video until August, but I just wanted to have the book on hand so that when I do decide to do the video, I got it right here. I also bought Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, which like freaking god tier. Thank god that I did because I loved this book so much. This was a 5-star thriller for me, one of the best thrillers that I've read this year. If you know absolutely nothing about it, it basically follows this small town, and this one woman disappears in this small town, and then like a week or like 10 days later, another woman and her daughter disappear in the same small town, and we're trying to figure out like what the fuck is going on and why these women are disappearing. And the first 50 pages of this book is so intense and just so like it grips you right away, and it's just like what the fuck. And then I went back to my local bookstore that has their ARC shelf, and I found Mirrorland. This is one that I've been wanting to read for a while because I do actually have the Libro audiobook for this because it was an ALC a few months ago, but I never got the chance to read it, and I'm glad that I was able to find a physical copy. There's nothing I love more than reading a book physically and listening to it on audio. Like that's my preferred reading experience now. So I love that I have this physical book and I can listen to it on audio. It just says, with the startling twists of Gone Girl and the haunting emotional power of Room, a thrilling psychological suspense novel about twin sisters, the man they both love, and the dark childhood they can't leave behind. Bitch, what? I will read this immediately. And then they also had A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel, which I was so excited to find this because I love Sylvain Neuvel. He wrote one of my favorite sci-fi book series, Sleeping Giants. So ever since then, I will read anything that he writes, but this one just says it's a sci-fi thriller blending a fast-moving, darkly satirical look at 1940s rocketry with the amorality of progress and the nature of violence. Dude, I don't even know what that means, but I'm excited. And then on my channel, I very recently started doing these like book shopping with me kind of vlogs where I take you all over Washington and we find bookstores and I buy some books from those bookstores. And so in the first episode of that series on my channel, I got these 3 books. I ended up getting The Unseen World by Liz Moore, and this is one that I'm really excited about because I really loved Long Bright River by Liz Moore, and so I wanted to check out more of her backlist, and I've heard from some other people who have read her backlist that this one is really good, really hard-hitting. The description just says the moving story of a daughter's quest to discover the truth about her beloved father's hidden past. I also finally bought The Night Circus, which this is one that I've been wanting to read for years. This is a book that I get recommended every single fall. Everybody's like, this is the perfect fall book recommendation, and I'm just really excited to finally get to this book. I've been wanting to own this book for quite a while now, and so it was like the perfect opportunity to buy it from like the cutest small local bookstore. I don't know what to expect from this. I'm kind of scared, to be honest, because I know it's like slightly fantasy and it's probably going to be a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm also really excited to finally give it a chance, and I think I'm going to be reading this one at some point this fall, just because that is probably the ideal time to read a book like this. And then the last book that I got from that specific book trip was The Ones We're Meant to Find. This one is a young adult sci-fi novel that follows these two sisters. I guess it looks like it would be more contemporary to me from this cover, but I guess it's pretty heavy sci-fi from what I've heard. And it deals with these two girls and an abandoned island. They wake up on the shore of an abandoned island and she has no idea how she came to be or what her life was like before. And I don't know what to expect from this book, but this is like one of my favorite book covers that I've ever seen. Like, it's probably my favorite book cover of the year so far. Like, I think I can say that with confidence. And then lastly, I got 4 books from my book trip to Seattle. I went to Pike Place very recently with my mom and we hit up a couple local bookstores in Seattle. And so from that video, I ended up getting My Sister the Serial Killer. This was from a used bookstore, so this copy is used, but it's in like nearly perfect condition. And I just got the audiobook checked out for this from my library. I mean, I'm filming this in late June, so by the time this video goes up, I might have already read this book, so. And then I also ended up getting Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCreight. And this is a thriller that I'm really hyped about because I really enjoyed Kimberly McCreight's book, A Good Marriage. Like, that was like one of my favorite thrillers from last year, I think. And so I'm really excited to read this one. And then I ended up getting Hang the Moon by Alexandria Bellafleur, and this one is actually a book that I'm currently reading, so I will definitely have this book done by the time this video goes up. But this one so far, I'm really enjoying it. It's a really cute romance. It actually takes place in Seattle, which is so cool because I bought this book in Seattle, like what? And yeah, this book, if you didn't know, it's actually a sequel to Written in the Stars, which that book was like a female-female romance, and then this book follows Darcy from that book. It's her brother, Brendan, and this is like his story, and this book has just been such joy so far. Like, it's so cute, so I'm feeling like I'm gonna love it. And then the last book that I ended up hauling is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I finally just like bit the bullet and got this book because I've been wanting to own this book for a very long time now. This is another book that I get recommended all the time. Anytime I talk about Grady Hendrix, everybody's like, how have you not read Horror Store yet? And so I am very stoked to finally own a copy of this book, and this is another one that I bought because I plan to read it during Summerween, just because I think it'd be so perfect and so fun. And again, I don't know too much about this book. All I know is that it takes place at like a haunted store, kind of like a haunted IKEA kind of looking store. I mean, look at this dude right there. Like, that is major creepy. And it's kind of cool because flipping through this book, it kind of looks almost like a catalog for like a store. Like, I don't know, it looks really cool, and I've heard that the audiobook is a really great experience too, so I think I'm gonna try to check out the audiobook around the time that I read this for Summerween. Like, we'll see if it can happen in time. So yeah, wow, those are all of the books that I've hauled recently in the months of like May and June-ish. Yeah, this summer is gonna be wild. I feel like I'm gonna haul so many books this summer, so I feel like it would be maybe good for me to do more unhaul videos because I'm always unhauling books because I'm always hauling so many books. But yeah, I'm super excited about this book haul. Like, I've got some stuff that I'm really excited about here. And if you see anything that I haven't read yet that you think I should read, then like, please let me know. If you see anything that you loved or like some of your favorite books, let me know. If you see any books that you would also like to read, please let me know. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.